there's parents, there's extended families that are concerned about it. And right now in our state, certainly our country, it is an epidemic. There's about 48 million people who have an active addiction, and whether it's behavioral, with a whole bunch of things, that behavior with screen time, with shopping, with porn, whatever, or substance use. And again, it's the same neural pathways that affect us with drugs, also affect us with those behavioral things as well. And so the organization that we're supporting tonight is called I Thirst. I'm going to show about a 4-minute video of Keaton Douglas and the work that we're doing and trying to help people with one of the aspects of addiction.
And his boss was John Gotti. Now, back in those days, John was living a really luxurious lifestyle. He had brand new sports cars, he had $2,000 suits. John, rumor has it, you were an even sharper dresser than the Dapper Don. Is that true? Might be a discussion for another day. And he was able to buy $1,000 bottles of champagne like you or I could buy Poland Spring. But all these material goods and all the power were really happiness under false pretenses. Because with that life, the risks are far greater than the rewards. And John found that out the hard way, because as time went on, he served several different sentences in several institutions all around the globe. And he started realizing that this family I took an oath to really isn't who I am. Now, as John spent his last sentence in a hellhole in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, called Presidio Arifranco, a dungeon. Rats, vermin, insects, sewage, nice inmates too, and savage guards who were corrupt. And John had to deal with this every day. And while he was there, he did a lot of thinking and a lot of reflecting. And he realized one thing. He realized that God did not put him on this earth to continue being a violent mobster, because had he gone back to this life, he would have wound up in two places. One, an 8x8 cell, or two, a cold slab in a morgue. And that would have been all of our loss. But thankfully, John did a lot of reflecting, and he thought about it, and he knew that this time when he got out, things were going to be different, because as you can see, he's got a family who loved him, who needed him. He had friends who missed him. And he couldn't have all the great experiences with them because he was behind bars. But he knew this time was going to be different. And when he got out, he took this opportunity and he aimed for the stars. This time, things were going to be different for sure. Now, John wasn't going to be the enemy of law enforcement. He's a valued friend, and sometimes even an advisor. He lets them know on the inside what things are really like. Now, he's not dealing with goons and tough guys, the soldiers and the Gambino family. Now, he spends his time speaking to at-risk youths, kids who are surrounded by drugs, drug addiction, gang violence, and a pending life of crime. If he could change one kid's heart, and I'm sure he did, that could probably save about 20 to 30 lives. So he's doing God's work here on earth. For every negative in his former life, he's now turned this into like 100 positives, because he knows that there's a greater purpose than working for John Gotti. A much greater purpose than that. And as John also knows, even when you do things the right way, even when you're taking every step proper way, life throws you a couple knuckleballs, sometimes right between your eyes. And he knows all too well that street drugs, opioids, especially fentanyl, can rear their ugly heads at any time. They don't discriminate. They don't care who you are, what you look like. They don't care who you voted for. They don't care about anything. And after a while, they can take even the ones you love the most and you hold in your heart the deepest. And unfortunately, that's what happened here. But you know what? Thank God we have organizations like I Thirst, and we have people like Keaton Douglas who are doing God's work here on earth, which he really is. And thank God you have people like John, because John is able to get out there and he's able to talk to young people and he's able to tell them, you don't want to live this kind of a life. You don't want to be where I was. And I'm telling you firsthand, you can change yourselves and make a difference. Now, in a weird way, John's kind of like the underdog, right? When he came out of prison the last time, odds were stacked against him, because how many guys come out and they turn to recidivist offenders, but they can't handle the reality of a free life, and they go back to doing the only thing they know how to do. But John kind of flipped the script on that. He was the underdog who bit back, and he found out that his life has a purpose. He's got a great reason to be here, and he's got a community he could serve very well. So John, kind of like the underdog, and I don't know any American who doesn't like a good underdog, because if you find me a person who rooted for Cleverland or Apollo Creed over Rocky, I'm going to say you're lying. And John is our Rocky, sort of, because he overcame these big odds. Now, when I first heard about John, true to my form, I'm reading the Saturday New York Post. I saw this guy from Englishtown, and I said, holy cow, this guy lives right next door to me, right in the next town over. So the former journalist and the current blogger and me jumped out, and I said, I have to find a way to meet him. This is going to be a great blog, great story. So through the magic of the internet, I did search, and I sent them an email at random. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I am on speed dial for every jackass who's a telemarketer, and everybody who wants to give me money from Publishers Clearinghouse. I should be worth $20 million by now and have a better car. Okay? Electric company, they all call me. So when I saw a strange number pop up, I said, I got to answer this. Because I figured if they screw with me, I'm going to get back at them anyway and waste their time. But it was not Publishers Clearinghouse. It wasn't the electric company, it was John. And sure enough, later that day, we met and had a great interview with him. Now, as we were walking to the restaurant, John, I don't know if you remember this, we're walking, and I said, John, I got to hit you with a really hard question. I said, this is one that's been dividing the Italian community for years. Is it sauce or gravy? Then I said, geez, he's Albanian. Is he going to give me the right answer? But he did, and it's gravy, and don't say anything if you disagree. That's it. Sauce. All right. Come on. Where's the bouncer, John? Get him out. But we had a great interview. The blog came out really well. And I can tell everybody here, if you don't already know this guy is really an impactful person in his community. He's a great human being. He relates to people better than just about anybody I've ever seen. He's a great public servant. He's the epitome of what a public servant should be, because he really does care to make your life easier and not have the red tape. But most of all, John is living a life of redemption. And that is probably the most powerful thing anybody can do, because when you've been all the way down, and you're able to come back to reach the highest of highs, and to really live a stable life and enjoy your loved ones, like his son's here, enjoy your friends, all of you, and enjoy your family. That's all that matters. So, without further ado, I'm probably tired. It gives me great pleasure to introduce my good buddy, my neighbor, and I might add, President of the Council of Englishtown Borough, as I see those ponies over here. Guys, let's have a big round of applause for John. And don't make too much noise, because his voice is a little shot. And there's no microphone.
Sorry, polyps. Anyway, thank you everybody for coming to council. I really appreciate everybody that's here that's sacrificing, trying to help vet lost children. Maureen and John, all the work you do at K&A, and Jimmy, obviously, that reached out to me originally. Christine and Denise, and I hope I didn't leave anybody out that lost their children. When we first did radio with Gary, Jimmy reached out to me and said, you know, I'm here to support you. I lost a daughter. And we started doing sober radio, which you don't really realize the impact, because I'm thinking about, you know, your own suffering until you start realizing how many people we can try to help. And as a street guy, I start to reflect on all the drug dealing I did, right? I was a drug dealer, and you're not realizing the consequences. You're a young guy trying to make money, get rich, coming from the inner city, no money, and and you don't realize how many people you're hurting while you're doing it. And I think I understand the drug business, right? Because I grew up in it. I grew up in the inner city. I grew up with black, Spanish, everybody. I didn't look at color. I looked at dollar bills only. So we weren't racist guys where we grew up. And I started to understand that the inner city, because of where we grew up, guys like Joe, you understand the street, and it sort of sucks us in. And we're starting to, and I started to see, you're suffering because you're trying to make money to get out of there. And you make bad choices because of insecurity. When you're young, you don't have the confidence to be like you guys, actually, my sons, where you can, you work hard, you get where you want to go. But we took the shortcut, which is actually only going to make you suffer further. So as I got wealthy, I guess, as I got popular in the street, as I got more powerful, I got, I guess, more stupid because I didn't want to see what was in front of me, all the people who were hurt. And as life went on, and I do change my life eventually, what everybody knows, and when I do change my life and I get out, I said, wow, I know the drug industry, so I can go out and do these talks and really help people. But the part I didn't know is what it felt like losing a child. And all of us that did understand the suffering. Then I understood the drug business for real. And I understood the pain. And understood that we could really help them because we have a knowledge of that business that we never wanted to have a knowledge of. And the more I understood that, like today, the average person, if you ask them on the street how many people die a year from opioids. And if you go back in 2022, that number was 100, was probably the highest ever in America. It was near 130,000 of known deaths. That's without the Jewish community who don't report it. And they don't have, they don't go in to the hospital and have, if they die or OD from a drug overdose, they don't ask to have it tested after because they don't want to, it's religious bound and it's also personal, where the families don't want it, it's almost shameful for them. So you can tack that 130,000 number or higher. Thank God, and I'm a Catholic, I go to church, I believe in God. People that, in any religion, anything that you believe in, and you pray to God, you pray for our children, and you pray for their success. But one of the things I learned under President Trump, and I don't want to get too political, I'm a big President Trump guy, but that number went from 130,000 to this year to the lowest it's been in America, which is about 75,000. It's an incredibly high number, but it's an incredibly, a lot of lives that have been saved. The head of DEA, met him, I've done a little bit of talking with him at the Black Poster Project that Dee Gillen does a lot of great work for and supported people like me. She also unfortunately lost her son. When I did that talk with the head of DA, Frank Tarantino, and for the people that don't know who he is, he's the guy that brought in Maduro from Venezuela, when you see that famous picture of him walking on the top. And me and him have talked and we've had discussions about how to continue to lower that number from 75,000. It's an incredible number. That number is higher than we've lost in wars, all of us. And people don't realize because they think they'll never be a victim. They kiss their kid goodbye, they go to school, and that child never comes home. They take a fat burning pill, it has fentanyl in it, they die. They're working out, they take something to boost themselves, they die. They're smoking weed that you're not buying at a dispensary, and that's one of the biggest things that I tell everybody. They think it's harmless. I have a friend, husband and wife, 39 and 40 years old, or 39, 38 years old. 3 kids are sitting on the couch smoking a joint. They fell asleep, but they never woke up. It was laced with fentanyl. Their 3 kids were in their 20s, just thought their mother and father fell asleep smoking weed and watching a movie. And that's not the case. This ain't when, Patsy, when we were younger, we could take a hit of mescaline, take whatever you're gonna take back to do a line of blow. Those days are over. You're playing Russian roulette every time you do something. And if you're gonna take that chance, you possibly lose your life. And none of us ever thought that nightmare happened to us. And it did. And guys like Jimmy, you've been all over the street. You've helped a lot of people. And John, with the work that we do at K&A now, with fentanyl and helping kids in the gym, K&A boxing, and we came out with a saying and a slogan that we're using, you know, get in the ring and fight. Go out in the ring and lose your life. Fight for your life, you gotta be inside that ring. And we're all here trying to fight for people's lives, not just for ourselves. It's nice that we all get together and support by so many friends, and you guys all came out from Englishtown, and Mario, you know, you guys, you took the time out. People came from a long distance. You guys came from all the way down the shore. It's gotta be a couple-hour ride. And you know, it doesn't go unappreciated. And God willing, all of us, and as we keep growing, we can help people save their lives. At this point in my life, when I see the pain and the suffering of so many people reaching out, and I know it's too late for them, because we know that it doesn't go away. They reach out with a lifeline looking for some sort of support. And it's not just about addiction, so people don't think it's just about addiction. Kids think, and somebody just reached out to me today and asked if I would get involved in a new movie with them. And he's done about 10 movies at this point. And he says, what do you think about us doing a movie about kids bullying, having facial operations, and not fitting in? And one of the biggest reasons that people that have young kids, and you guys have some great kids, right? They're in the gym boxing, right? And I talk about those kids are the ones that do fit in, that are confident, but there's kids that don't fit in, that feel like they're not part of that group. But the thing about life is you're unique. An individual's unique, and the kids gotta understand you don't need to fit in. But we have to teach them that. We're to tell them, listen, if you don't fit in, it's okay. You're a unique person. That's the good end. Maybe you're somebody special because you don't fit in. Don't reach out to drugs because you're depressed, because you have nobody to talk to. You're getting bullied in school. And these are all the causes that they start going for devices, whether it's alcohol, whether it's a pill, whether it's coke, whether it's heroin. They're looking for an outlet that they can't deal with themselves, and those are the things that they think help them and they feel better. And at the beginning, maybe possibly they do, but eventually it's gonna happen. What happened to me, it happened to you, is you're gonna read the small print, and the small print, you're gonna destroy your life or lose your life. And it's our job to stop them and make them read the small print and understand in schools, the work that you're doing, Alan, where you're at, and with the church, and the ability of positive things that come out from these things. We need to educate these kids that in school learn confidence. And we gotta teach them about people that are bullying, or they're the ones that are insecure. They got a hole in their heart. We have to help them fill that void and make them understand that you can reach out, you can change. You don't have to change to be like the next person, but you can change and believe in yourself. And that's something I didn't believe in, obviously, because I went to the street. If I believed in myself and I looked in the mirror and had confidence, I wouldn't have went into the street as a gangster. The only thing that woke me up, and let's not talk about the false news now, the thing that woke me up is 2 crime families were giving me up. And it woke me up 4 years later after I left the Brazilian jail to say, what am I doing? Who am I protecting? A life that was fake. And I decided to make that life about my kids, about my future, about doing something positive. Because at the end of the day, when I was looking at me, I wasn't happy with myself. Yeah, I was a wealthy guy at one time. Lost $40 million, lost my companies, lost nightclubs, houses all over, estates. And then I started realizing that's just monetary, but you're not really living life. And then when I changed my life and I understood, which you understand, and you're doing a lot of good work, and really, thank you to I miss John and everybody else. So whoever I miss, I'm sorry if I miss anybody, but there's so many people that do some good things. And as we continue, it's our job, you know, for God, for our kids, for our school system, to hopefully change some of these things. And the reason I do believe in President Trump is one of the reasons he closed those borders. Those numbers that went from 125 and 130,000 down to 75,000 is because of some of the things that were changed by our law enforcement and our president. And people, good people like that man that just walked in, David, thank you for coming. And you came a long way, and I appreciate it. Who looks out and does work also, the work you've done. I really appreciate what you've done for the country, for the Jewish community, for the kids that you've been doing work with. So there's people that take time out of their lives, like you. You don't need to come 2 hours to sit here. You're not getting paid for your no benefit. You're coming out to support for some of the things that me and you talk about over the years. And these are people that make a difference, because it's easy for us every day to just walk past a kid that's suffering and not stop it and saying something. But every time a parent reaches out and tells me that they lost their kid or they're suffering, and they reach out on all my sites, non-stop. The same way when I was alone, Jimmy reached out and said to me, I got a helping hand for you. Put his hand out, and became best friends. And we started doing things with John where we're helping, hopefully, tons of people. Because the people that don't know, he's from Kensington, one of the worst drug areas in this country, if not the worst. Actually, in Mexico, they run, believe this, they run advertisements not to be like Kensington. Imagine, this is America, and they're running advertisements about how not to be in our country, which is, you guys know, is a disaster, it's a war zone. There's people sleeping all over the street, dying over the street. John, how many people do you Narcan there on a constant basis?
Every day.
Incredible. When we were there the last time, when we were doing it was not the last time before that, you ran outside to Narcan somebody when we were inside filming.
Yeah, okay.
And it's incredible what's going on, and this is America, how people, honestly, I just don't, and I know they don't understand like I didn't understand. Because I really thought I understood the drug industry because I'm a street guy. I really didn't understand it, unfortunately, until I lost my daughter. And now when I look outside and I say, there's tables here, they don't understand. It's not that they don't care. They're so busy with their lives that they don't really get it yet. And hopefully they never get it. It never happens to them that they lose somebody. But until that day happens, or they're not involved with families that know about this, or somehow get involved through an organization like the church, or the work that you guys are trying to do, Al and Joe. And they live their selfish lives. And that's the problem that we gotta hopefully change one person at a time. And with the support of our communities, our area, by the way, great job you're doing, Ken, for English now. That's our administrator, everybody. And so, you know. And I want to thank everybody again. I really want to thank you for coming out, taking the time. My lovely daughter-in-law's, sorry, can't talk good, for always supporting me, and you know, everybody being here. I really appreciate it. If there's any questions, I'm going to, ask them. I don't think there's going to be too many questions. I know everybody too well here. But if there's any questions, Dave, you got anything to say?
We can do is great. We're more qualified for those priests, because now you know on the other side how passionate you are about fixing it. And community's lucky to have leadership.
I appreciate it. Ash, thank you very much for showing up and supporting. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
From Russia all the way.
Yeah, we got one that speaks a little Russian over here. So we have people from every walk, and that's really something that's unique too. So let me say something. He's Russian, I'm Albanian, he's Italian, Albanian, my kid's Irish. Yeah, I don't know what nationality are you? What? Spanish, Jewish. I mean, you have every nationality. The thing is Irish. No. What's he? Mud. No, yes, and people never, the funny thing is with communities, and especially, and I say this a lot about race, because people talk, my sons have a lot of uncles that are black, right? And I'll use different words because I'm from the street, but I'm not racist. I'll talk about, and when someone's in trouble, you pull over, you don't stop and go, hey, are you liberal? And I'll help you, or are you Jewish, or are you Muslim? What are you before I help you? That's not what people do. No one cares. People care about good people. If you're a good person, they don't care what religion you are, what nationality are you. If you're left, right, middle, it's about being a human being. And a lot of times we get lost with this. And I do shows left versus right. Obviously, I'm a Republican, and I believe in America first. and those are my beliefs. That doesn't mean I don't talk. Well, the guy I do the show with is actually a nice guy, but he's completely to the left. Do I think he's insane? Yeah, I do. I think he's insane. The guy's nuts, but he's actually a nice guy. And people ask me, how do you take the guy? I go, he's actually a nice guy. He's just insane. His thought process is just not normal. And, you know, so that being said, I mean, thank everybody for coming. God bless you. Grab the,